All right, good morning, homeschool homies. It's Melissa here, and I am interviewing my friend, Kara Myers, today with Classical Conversations. So, Classical Conversations is a curriculum that many homeschooling families in New Mexico utilize. It uses the classical model of education. And when you're looking at curriculum and stuff, you're going to hear lots of different terms and jargon homeschooling stuff. So, Kara is going to explain a little bit about what the classical model is, and then we're going to get into what classical conversations can offer you and your family. So, Kara, thanks so much for joining us today. I appreciate you being here and being willing to be interviewed for our Homeschool Homies group. Can you give us a brief description of what the classical model is all about?
Yeah, I will try. The classical model, it is very all-encompassing, and so it's sometimes hard to shorten it down to get a bite-sized piece of it. But the easiest way, I think, to describe it is to describe the trivium. And trivium comes from a Latin term. Trivia means 3 roads. And it basically is describing how God made our brains. And we see it the most obvious in watching children develop. Adults use it constantly themselves, but they don't see it necessarily because it happens quickly for us. But for children, they stay in each phase for a long time. So the first phase is the grammar phase. And that's what we often refer to as the sponge phase or a poll parrot. And it's where they're just constantly repeating things. So like that's how you teach your baby to talk initially is, you hold up an apple and you say apple. And eventually they can mimic that back to you. But that's how our children, they're just sponges at this stage, and they can soak up anything. And then, anywhere from 10 to 13, they kind of start moving out of the grammar phase and into the dialectic phase. And those phases do overlap for a while. And the dialectic phase is the questioning phase, where they're now really trying to take all the information that they've been soaking up all these years, and they're trying to figure out how those things interact with each other and the whys and the hows. And they start making connections between this piece of information and this piece of information. And then lastly, the last stage is what we refer to as the rhetoric stage. And that's really more like 16 and up, but of course, every child switches over at any time for them, how they were made. And that's really the wisdom phase. And it's where the expression comes back out, or the poetry, if you go by Dorothy Sayers' words. And that's really where we're getting to, is we're trying to get to the point where they can express themselves. And that could be through debate, that could be through writing, it could be through speech, but just the expression of the ideas and the understandings that they already have.
Awesome. Okay. So what does the Classical Conversations curriculum offer? Like, what does that program look like?
Okay. So it's kind of hard to explain because it looks like a curriculum attached to a co-op. But it's not a co-op. It is a weekly meeting of the curriculum. So the idea is that we do some of it in community 1 day a week, and then we do the rest of it at home. Okay. So it's great in the sense of that it's giving you a spine. So as the parent, as the teacher, you're being given a spine of curriculum where you know that nothing is missing. Everything that your child needs is in there somewhere. It may not show up right when you expect it to, but it's in there, and just hang on, it's coming. So you don't have to worry that your child's missing something. But because you're the teacher and we're just a tutoring service and a curriculum, you get to ultimately decide. So if you want to take something out, you can. If you want to add something in, you can. You have the full control as the parent, the teacher, which is great. And so I'm personally a working parent who's homeschooling her kids. And so I love the fact that I don't have to worry. I don't have to be constantly going out and looking for new curriculum. It's all there for me. It's there. I open up my guide at the beginning of the year and it's right there. All I have to decide is how I want to structure my days when I'm at home. In the elementary levels, we introduce the material in class first. So your class day is your first day of your week. And then you go home and repeat it for the next 4 days. And add to, take away, whatever else you want to do as a parent. With our junior high and high school program, it's actually the last day of the week. They do the work at home for the first 4 days, and then they come to class for discussion. That's that dialectic phase that they're in. They want to question things, so we want to bring them together for the discussion of what they've been learning at home. How many times have you read a book and you just want to talk to somebody about it? Well, that's what this is that they get to then come to class and spend 6 hours with their peers and with a director who is helping them to discuss everything that they've gotten to learn throughout the week and weave it all together and to see God's plan in it all.
Okay, awesome. So you described, I mean, that kind of gives us a great idea of like what happens as well, and how this program helps homeschoolers. So it kind of gives you kind of like a roadmap, right? You're not having to do this all on your own. One, you have community. Two, you have a curriculum, so you're not having to like research everything yourself. You kind of have that support. So how have you seen this program help like beginning homeschoolers? Like, I think we have a lot of families that are coming into this and they don't know what to do. They don't know where to start. So how can CC come alongside them and help them navigate this world of homeschooling?
Well, I think the biggest thing that you can do for a new homeschooler is that you can rest in it and trust in it. CC's been around now for 23 years. We've gotten to the point in this curriculum where not only are the first students that ever began it back in 1997 as freshmen in high school have graduated, but they're now parents with their own kids in the program. That's how full circle it's gone. But we've also gone full circle from the point of having a student enter it at 4 years old and go all the way through the program, graduate, go to college, and then go have a career and start their family because it's been around that long. And so you can trust it. And so I think that to me is where the benefit comes for a new family when you don't know what you want to do and you're just trying to kind of get into it. And the other thing too is that it's all about doing a little bit well and not being fully overwhelmed. It's, you know, if you go to a curriculum fair when we're not in COVID, you walk in the door and your eyes just glaze over because there's so much to look at. And I think this is a great way to ease in because there is so little that is required during the first few years as an elementary student because it's all about just soaking up grammar. And it's so fun because the kids are just singing history sentences and they're memorizing timelines and they're doing a lot of memorization because we're trying to use that time that they're a sponge to soak it all up so that then later they have stuff to pull from when it's time to have those discussions and to dig in deep. Kind of like the idea of it would be really hard to do algebra and calculus if you don't have your multiplication facts memorized because then you have to look them up all the time. So it's that idea of that they memorize stuff when they're young and they're having fun and they're playing and they're reading good books and they're just relaxing. And then the harder work comes on later when they're going to use all that knowledge. So I feel like, especially if you're a family that is trying to figure out how to make this work with young children, it's great because it is such a freeing curriculum and being able to, that there's just not much that needs to be done in those younger years. I always kind of say that it's like 15 minutes per year of age. So like a 4-year-old doesn't need more than an hour of work. And then maybe a 5-year-old, like an hour and 15 minutes, you know, some kind of moving along those ages that, you know, just a little bit of the memory work review, do a math page, maybe do a handwriting page, do a little bit of reading and move on, you know, and that's a great day.
I think that's a great reminder too, is that we're not trying to replicate public school. Like, you know, we're not trying to do a 6-7 hour day because we don't have those transitions, because we do have more flexibility. The workday isn't going to be as long. So on that note, with CC, what is the parent commitment to this program? Like you said that you're a working mom. I know there's a lot of parents that are going to be navigating working and homeschooling their kids. What is the time commitment for parents involved with CC?
Okay, so during the younger years, when they're in what we refer to as our foundations and our essentials programs, parents do have to be on site. So that one day a week, the parent needs to be with them on campus. So for me, personally, I've actually shifted and I've moved my family to a campus that meets on Mondays because the way our business is structured, most of our consultants travel on Mondays, and so they don't blow up my email. But then they get to their job sites and then they start blowing up my email on Tuesday. So I used to be in a Tuesday campus, and I just found as our business grew, that was harder and harder for me to manage, me being out of the office while my email was blowing up. And so that's how I'm accommodating with my family. So during the hours that my son is in his foundations class in the morning and his essentials class in the afternoon, I will be on site. I will be with him. And then I work my business before and after that time period. And then obviously the rest of the week, then I'm at home and I'm working my business on the hours that I need it to be while I'm helping him with his work. I would say that my time that I need to be instructing him during the week is maybe an hour and a half. Really, if I want to do more, it would be read aloud time, and that's something I could do in the evening at bedtime, or first thing in the morning, like where it fits for a family.
Yeah.
There's no scheduled time for any of this. You just make it work. So for the elementary years, I'd say hour and a half of dedicated, time that you might need to be doing any instructing. The rest of it they can really do as an independent learner, and that's another thing that I love. I love trying to build independence in my children as fast as possible. For the junior high and high school, probably again, maybe an hour a day. Really with my daughter, we found out that it was more like I needed to give her a couple hours of attention the first day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it was maybe 15 to 30 minutes a day, checking in with her, looking at her work, deciding whether it was up to my level of excellence. And then occasionally sitting down and giving her more instruction if she was struggling in a particular concept. But again, they're really independent learners by the time they're in the junior high and high school program. And so they just don't need as much of your time. It doesn't mean you can check out. You still need to be holding them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
But they're being given the tools to go and find the answers when they don't know the answer.
And you're not necessarily having to teach the content because that's happening on your campus days, correct?
Somewhat. For the elementary, yes. For the junior high and high school, no. It is something they're learning on their own in their books, but they've already been taught how to do that.
Okay.
So they may, again, like everybody hits a point where they're like, I can't figure out this math problem.
Yeah.
But we've also been training the parents how to ask good questions to help the child figure out how to get unstuck. I mean, I don't know any Latin, but my daughter will come in here and have a question about Latin, and I just ask a couple questions, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, I figured it out. It's blah, 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 and she'll go running out of here, and I have no idea what she said.
You're like, that's great. Perfect.
That's great. But, I just asked a few questions about, what's the tense of the verb, or what's the, and she figured it out on her own because I just was helping her process. And that's what it's all about, is them learning how to learn.
Awesome. Very good. Now, this is a tuition-based program, correct?
It is. You're paying tuition for the tutors that are tutoring in the class for the 1 day a week that you go, and then also access to all the online helps and all of the additional things that go into the program.
And then you still have to register with the state as a homeschooler.
Correct. You are considered a homeschooler when you use this program.
Okay. And is this program statewide or is it just local?
No, it is international, actually. We are in all 50 states, all provinces of Canada, and I think at this point up to 35 foreign countries.
Wow.
It's huge. So anywhere you go, you will be able to find a program. So even if you're a military family that's here in New Mexico now and you're going to move later, chances are whatever base you're going to, there is already a CC community there, including international bases.
Okay.
So yes, there are programs all over the state of New Mexico, anywhere they want to go. And if there isn't one in their town, then they can always talk to their support representative to help get one started, because oftentimes the support representatives in some of the smaller towns have lists of names of people that are interested. And when you get that critical mass, then you can start a new community. And so they just need to add their name into the list.
Okay. And who can join this program? Is it open to any homeschooler?
It is. It's open to any homeschooler anywhere. We are a religious organization. We are biblically based. We do not follow any particular denomination of Christianity, but it is a Christian program. But that doesn't mean that someone who's not a Christian can't join. I have personally been in communities with people who are Muslim, people who are Jewish, and people who are atheists. And we have the best conversations, because that's really what it's all about, is learning and knowing both sides of every story. There are two sides to everything, and we are not good learners and we are not good representatives of Christ if you can't have that conversation in an affirming and loving way. And so, yeah, like I said, I've had many different peoples of different faith and communities, and they've been some of my best friends.
Awesome. Okay. So if people want to learn more about Classical Conversations, where can they get more information?
So they want to go to the CC website, and you can either click on the button that talks about finding a local community, or you could click on the button that finds a meeting. Because I recommend that if they really want to know more information, they should actually go attend a full information meeting. I'm just giving a smidgen of information. There's so much more to know about this program before making this decision. So I highly recommend that they go to a local information meeting or meet with their local support representative. And I'll be sure and give you those links and maybe some screenshots showing exactly where people want to click so that they can get in touch with that local person.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kara. This is an amazing program. We know several families that are involved and they really love it. And I think the thing that everyone that I know that's part of CC says they really love the community. They're not having to do this alone. So it's a great way to get started and to have people come alongside you. I mean, it can feel very lonely and overwhelming to start the homeschooling journey. But I know my friends that do CC this, they have said that that community, just having that built-in community, has really helped the transition. So
community really is the saving grace of homeschooling. You shouldn't be doing it alone. You need to be in a community, because in the little years when you're sleep deprived and you're tired, like, you need those moments to go have coffee with someone to lift you up, or maybe have virtual coffee while we're doing COVID.
Social distancing coffee.
Yeah, but during the later years, you know, you need that community to pull from for all the different information that you need for getting your kid through high school and on to college. And that's the one thing I love so much about CC is they've thought so much about that they have so many resources for us at our fingertips that we can access to help do transcripts, to help do college credit, you know, all those different things. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us this morning and share about Classical Conversations. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.